Hi, it's Kathy from Bake Life. I'm here today to chat with you a little bit about a question I hear all the time, whether it's in the baking forums, on our Facebook group. People ask me directly, when I talk to new bakers and stuff, is what should I be pricing my baked goods at? And to me, this raises a little bit of a red flag that you are in hobby mode, that you're not a legit, thriving, growing business, because if you don't know what you're pricing your products at, you don't know your numbers. If you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business. So today we're going to talk about some of the different factors that go into pricing your products, ingredients, labor, profits, all that good stuff, a few other things. And at the end, I'll give you a quick little tip with some more information where we delve in even deeper yet. All right, so let's get started. So first off, like I said, you have to know your numbers. So the number one thing is ingredients, right? So we all know most bakes are flour, sugar, butter, eggs, all that good stuff. Now, if you're on trend with some of the current things like keto diet and gluten-free or paleo, those ingredients cost even more. So more the reason why you should be taking care and knowing what these things cost you. So the basics of pricing is basically ingredients, which we just talked about, your time, the time it takes to make the product. Of course, you want some kind of profit in there. And if you've got a brick and mortar, you're talking about overhead and things like that. But we're going to just talk very simple right now. So those three things are your main foundation of what's going to be your price. So yeah, we want profit, right? Because that's important, because profit is why we're in business. Otherwise, like I said, this is just a hobby. So it's important to know this. All right, so ingredients. Number one, biggest thing. This is the heart of everything that you create. It's the ingredients, which you're actually baking with, right? Please tell me you're not going to the grocery store down the corner to buy your groceries. Please. Those are retail prices. Is not meant for wholesale purposes. Now, there's a whole lot more on wholesale we can talk about as well in regards to taxes and what your state offers. But just on a basic level, what you're paying at the grocery store is way higher than what you could be paying from a wholesale distributor. So there's a couple that you may be familiar with, maybe not. Dawn Foods, which I'm fortunate is close by to me, so I can call them and within an hour I can pick up, a couple 50-pound bags of flour, a couple 50-pound bags of sugar, and that will last me in the volume that I do for a couple months. Now, maybe that'll last you a week, maybe that'll last you a month, whatever it is, it's easier. It's not running to the store every week. It's just, to me, it's way easier to do it that way. So if you've got a Dawn Foods or a Bake Mark, so again, it's a bakery distributor, Google it, look them up. If you've got one nearby, set up an account. You'll thank me for it. Now, if you don't, there are also other options that are wholesale, like a restaurant distributor store. So again, by me, there's a Restaurant Depot. There's also Gordon Food Service. Check your pricing. Sometimes I don't feel that they're very competitive in their pricing in some of the areas. And the quality of some of their like chocolate chips and some of their things aren't the best. So if you're really picky about high quality ingredients, which I hope you are, maybe kind of just get some staples there. They've got great catering things. You need trays and pans and things like that. They're good for that. And of course, butter and sugar. But again, their butter prices are always like $1 a pound higher than Aldi. I mean, Aldi's a fantastic resource if you do have to get from a grocery store. So again, knowing where you're getting your prices, your ingredients, making sure you're shopping around, comparing prices, making sure you're getting the best price every time you're getting your ingredients. It's super important. And if you can buy in bulk, that's going to save you a trip to the store, and typically it's going to be cheaper per ounce or per pound. All right. So the next thing we're going to talk about is weighing your recipes. So are you weighing your recipes, or are you still measuring with cups? Again, I get it. Everyone kind of starts out, grandma said a pinch of this, a dash of that. We use grandma's recipes and we are measuring with cups. But think about flour is the best example I like to give. You've got all-purpose flour, you've got cake flour, you've got bread flour, pastry flour. There are like tons of flours, and if you're using different ones in your recipes, they all weigh a little different. They've got different texture, which is of course why they're different and why they work great in some recipes. But when you're scooping with like a 1 cup scoop, whether you're leveling it, if you're shaking it, if you tap it, if you sift it, all of those factors can change the weight of what you're measuring. So 1 cup of all-purpose flour, whether you sifted it, whether you shook it, whether you leveled it and spooned it and leveled it, all of those things affect the weight. So at the end of your recipe, when it doesn't come out quite right, that could be potentially why. So I always recommend to convert all of your recipes into, I like ounces, or you can do grams, whichever you're more comfortable with. Grams is more of a finer measurement, because for every 1 ounce is 26, I believe, grams. So you can see it's a lot more detailed. I like ounces, it's just what I'm used to. But like in culinary school, we use grams, so it's fine. Either way, but please convert them. You'll thank me for it down the road. At the end, you'll get a link. Actually, that's part of the flyer that I'm going to give you guys at the end here. There's a link in there to help you convert them, because it does take a little bit of tweaking. And when I say the easy way to do it is when you go through your recipe, when you're making it the next time, scoop like you normally do using your cups and everything, but then weigh it at the same time, and do that a couple times to make sure you're getting the right consistent weight, and then from there you'll be fine. All right, so let's talk about labor. You're like, oh, but Kathy, it's just me. Yeah, I hope you're paying yourself. You should be. If you're not, and I get it, in the beginning you're like, oh, I just want to get this order out. I don't have time to, pay myself. No, you should be paying yourself. And if you're fortunate enough to have staff, whether that's, again, in an in-home bakery or at a storefront, you've got to pay them too, obviously, right? So making sure you're figuring out the time it takes you to create the product and then how much you're paying yourself. So take, for example, a chocolate chip cookie batch, right? You can probably mix, scoop, and bake a batch of chocolate chip cookies within an hour. And if you know your cost of your ingredients, now you figure out the cost per cookie of that hour. So if you say $10 an hour is your labor rate, what you pay yourself, which is, comparable for that type of work. Now, if you're talking about a super elaborate decorative cake or some very fancy cookies or maybe a fancy cake pop, your labor rate is going to be a little different. Maybe say for making gum paste flowers, you would charge $20 an hour. And maybe it takes you 1 hour to do one flower, which is very possible because they can be beautiful and ornate and a pain in the butt. That's why I don't do cake decorating. But so that one flower could cost you $20, and say there's 10 flowers on there. Just the flowers alone now will cost that cake $200. So it's important to factor in your time when you're figuring out your pricing. All right, and let's talk about profits. All right, that's why we're in business, right? We want to make money, have a profit, not just pay for the ingredients, not just pay our staff and pay ourselves. We want to have profits. We want to grow. We want to reinvest in our business. We want to take a vacation once in a while, right? That comes from your profits. So you want to factor that in when you're figuring your pricing. There's a couple different methods that you can use. One is very, very straightforward. It's you take the ingredients and multiply times 4. That's it. It's pretty basic, pretty straightforward. It will cover overhead, labor, all that stuff's kind of included in that times 4. So take, for example, a cookie that say costs you ingredients-wise 25 cents. So times 4, $1. So you're going to sell it for $1. That's a pretty, decent price. But sometimes, labor can get out of control, or maybe your overhead's really high, so you want to get a little more detailed. That's a great starting place. I always like to recommend the times 4 as a starting place for any baker, because you will quickly find, though, that as you start baking, and depending on the type of work that you're doing, whether it's more elaborate or more simple, that you're quickly going to be like, yeah, I need to charge more for that. Customer calls and says, hey, I want such and such, it's fancy, it's something maybe you don't normally do, but you don't want to tell a customer no, because heaven forbid we tell no. That's a video for another day. Setting boundaries and telling people no. Something that you'll learn as you grow in business. But, so you say, okay, I think this is a good price. You kind of figure it out. And then once you're done with the project, you're like, oh my God, I should have charged so much more for that. Like, that was ridiculous. I did not charge enough for it. So start there, and then you can grow and kind of move forward. Another way that I like to do it is when you take the ingredients and then you add your labor, and now you multiply times 3, or times 30%. So it's a little bit more. You're adding in the labor on top instead of at the back end, which is good because, again, if you're doing a more elaborate thing and a more labor intensive product, you're going to cover your costs a lot better that way. So another example I like to give to show you the two, one versus the other. Let's take that chocolate chip cookie. Our ingredients cost is 12 cents to make that. Now, if we do the times 4 method, that comes out to 48 cents. So say 50 cents for a cookie. That's not horrible, but to me, that's like bake sale prices, like the church bake sale. Like, grandma made some cookies and donated them to the church, and they don't really care. They just want to raise some money. For a business, 50 cents a cookie is not enough. Chocolate chip or otherwise, that's just not enough money. So the second method is doing the 30% method, where we take the ingredients to the 12 cents of the chocolate chip, and then we add our labor. So if our labor, in this instance, we said an hour would take us to make, scoop and bake those cookies. And that comes out to, let me check my notes here. That comes out to 21 cents per cookie. So now we're gonna add those two numbers together. 12 cents plus 21 cents brings us to 32. Now we're gonna multiply that by 30%, and that brings us up to $1.06. That's more than double what we thought before. Do you see the difference? So you've got to really know where your labor and your ingredients, everything is at. That labor, that time difference that you're now factoring in, you're including in the front end, makes a huge difference on your retail price. All right, so think about that, all of that good stuff. All right, so those are the three basics of your foundation of what your cost is going to be. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. You know, the analogy with the iceberg, and then it shows all underneath. There's a whole lot more going on underneath that we'll talk about in the link below. If you click on that, you'll get a nice little a PDF with some more information, goes into more detail, talks about the mental side of pricing. You know, you're worth what you charge. I say that over and over and over again to bakers. Don't play small, play full on. Say, yes, I'm talented. I know what I'm doing. I'm worth this. And if they don't want to buy from you, bye, Felicia. So again, guys, click the link below, pick up the PDF. I hope you enjoy it. Send me some questions here, you know, comment here on YouTube. You can find us, of course, on Facebook at Bake Life Kathy J, Small Business Coach. Always on Instagram at Bake Life Kathy J. Feel free to send me with your questions. If you have any more, if you need help, like taking a recipe and breaking it down, let me know. I'm more than happy to help. I've got templates that you can use that breaks all the costing down, and we can convert it over. It's really easy. Even if you're scared of Excel spreadsheets, I love them. I'm nerdy that way, but yeah, I can totally help you out. So leave a comment below. Be sure you subscribe and hit the bell so every time I have a new video, you are notified. Again, follow us on Instagram and on Facebook, and I will see you guys later. Happy baking.